Hi, everyone in English 1301. It's Dr. E, and I'm here with your week 3 or our final week instructional video. So we have a lot of ground to cover. I'm just going to jump right into our content area so we can look at our week 3 module. So this is where we are. So this week you do have the weekly video that you're watching right now, and I really suggest, encourage, highly encourage everyone to review the multimedia project video and the food journal collection video because those are both due this week. So it's an intense week. We have a lot going on, but it's been that way for 2 weeks previous. So I know we're all up to the challenge, right? So for essentially Wednesday's work, we need to read chapter 7, which is about annotating, summarizing, and responding. You'll also watch a TED Talk by Sam Cass, which is really interesting about, when kids learn better. Part of that is a result of them, eating well and not being hungry all the time in schools. Um, you also have your multimedia project that's due on Wednesday. Give me 1 second, I need to cough. So sorry. Okay, I've put little asterisks around the multimedia project due because the whole issue of setting up this course due dates originally, I usually do every semester Thursdays and Sundays, but because we have, last week we had a holiday on a Thursday. This week we essentially have the same. But having an 11:59 p.m. due time on New Year's Eve is a little sus, but that's why I put the asterisks here because you can definitely submit. I'm allowing, for you to see the ultimate deadline for that assignment as Thursday the 1st by 11:59 p.m., no later than that. So there's a little bit of flexibility here. This is definitely not a 48-hour grace period situation because for posts, that's just not an option. It's for those uploaded assignments. I did go ahead and cross out the mind map. It just seems like way too much to push for y'all to do this week because we also do have a quiz. Now that due date and time will be subject to that 48-hour grace period, but get it out of the way, do all you can to, get everything done by Wednesday so that you can focus on, what remains in the week. Because in addition to reading another chapter for Sunday, distinguishing facts from misinformation, which in this day and age is just such a requirement, we need to be able to critically examine sources, various kinds of sources, and determine if we are being fed misinformation or disinformation, excuse me, and how to discern some of those things. Because we have far too many sources that look legit, that look reputable, but in fact are not, or we need to be able to identify, the motivation behind the information and how it's being presented to us. You're also going to watch Jennifer 8 Lee's TED Talk, which is The Hunt for Journal So. Your food journal collection is due Sunday, and you also have a quiz. I'm sorry, I need to add that here. I'm sorry, it's not in the list here, but it is present. What I do want to note is that everything for Sunday is a hard deadline, and maybe I'll put a little note of it here as well. But our class essentially ends on the 4th, which means I have to turn the grades around and get those submitted pretty quickly. So we don't have a grace period there. You won't have access to D2L after the 4th, is my understanding. So you need to make sure that these deadlines are in your mind, you understand that they are firm, that everything will shut down. And this is especially true for those of you who, maybe you have spotty internet. Maybe you don't always have, easy and functional Wi-Fi, those kinds of things, because this you have to submit to D2L and you have to submit before or by the ultimate due date and time. So I would highly suggest that you get things done as early as you're able, right? And remember, with the food journal collection, you've done a majority of the work already. You did food journal 1 and 2, so now it's about going back in and adding those elements that are required, but the bulk of the writing has been done, okay? And then rest and celebrate. Yay. Okay, so you're watching what will appear here, and then I've put the links for the project video and the food journal collection video here as well. Please just take some time to review those. These are large grades. So these have the, potential to really help your grade overall. Or if, you're missing out on several guidelines, you misunderstand those guidelines, any of those, possibilities, that can really be detrimental, right? So make sure that you're looking at the examples in the videos and following the guidelines to a T. Okay. There is a link here to show you how to review Turnitin feedback, because I am working on the feedback for your Food Journal 1 assignment so that you can make edits, you can make revisions for your Food Journal collection. I likely am not going to have time to also get you the second Food Journal feedback, but I will be reading those and trying to get those graded and turned around as quickly as possible. Some of you have already submitted it. It's Sunday afternoon. It's not ultimately due until that 48-hour grace period. I'll just try to keep grading those as they're submitted, so that you can also look at that feedback and base your revisions on that feedback as well. Because again, you want to get the best possible grade for the Food Journal. And just a quick note, if you could sit and watch me grading your Food Journal collections, you would see I have a big screen that I work on in my office, and I will essentially pull up your previous submissions for your food journals and then your collection on the other side of my screen, and I will compare them to see if you've made edits, if you've made updates. I will offer you especially I'm trying to spend a lot of time with your first food journal submissions. So I will offer suggestions. You can take my advice word for word. If I say, well, how about this kind of wording? Yeah, take that. That's not plagiarism when I've given you permission to utilize that kind of rewording. So to review that feedback, and I also want to make a note that it is, again, Sunday afternoon / going into Sunday evening. I am not done providing feedback yet. I will be done tomorrow, Monday. I'm going to strive for having that feedback by noon. So you will know that you have feedback because you will not only see a grade for that first food journal assignment, but you will also see feedback. Regardless of your grade, you will have feedback from me. And so in order to view that, if you're not familiar with how to do so through Turnitin, if you haven't, you'll be asked to agree to the terms of service. Excuse me. But you'll go into the assignments area. You'll see feedback unread. You'll click there, and then again, you'll see a little, it's a little icon here that's kind of a head with a comment box, if you can see that. You want to click that, and you'll open it and see blue text. That is me typing directly to you. You will also see perhaps little bubbles that you can click on for an explanation. So just make sure you're doing your due diligence, because that is part of this whole process, is revising and editing, using that feedback, all of that good stuff. So make sure you are following these instructions. If you say, well, I don't see any feedback, then it's probably because you don't have a grade yet and I haven't uploaded the feedback yet, or you're not looking in the right place. So please make sure you're doing this. Also, I can see if you've accessed the feedback. So just FYI, you want to look at the feedback. Okay, so again, I'm going to try to have all that done, at least for the first food journal submission, by noon on Monday. Okay, here are the guidelines for the food journal collection and the multimedia project if you want like the handout, the kind of Word document. Here is a checklist. Remember, with the checklists, you can check or uncheck and it doesn't mean anything, right? This is just to help keep you on track, help to keep you kind of with your eye on everything that's going on this week, because it is a lot. Okay. So you have the week 3 quiz 1, and remember all of that information is going to be based on kind of the peachy color. So you'll have the chapter 7 questions, as well as questions about Sam Cass, perhaps some questions about things like the multimedia project, etc. You then have a link for your food journal collection. So if you click on that, it's pretty basic, because my expectation is that you've watched the video, you've looked at the guidelines, you're using the template, etc. A lot of the comments I'm giving about the food journal is just, a lot of it is just kind of push for more specificity, that kind of thing, but also formatting. It's the first thing I see when I open up your document. So If you choose not to use the template, which I question, like why do that? Because the template is set up with place for your abstract, place for everything, place for your works cited, perhaps even some already constructed citations to help you out, that kind of thing. Remember, there's also information in the MLA help area. If you're making your own document, then you need to make sure that it is following MLA formatting guidelines, right? So just use the template. Okay, there should be a link here to the multimedia project. I guess it's not visible. Let me pause 1 second. Yes, sorry about that. It wasn't visible. I was holding off until making this video and then I forgot. So your multimedia project, you just click here and again, follow the instructions, right? I really want you to use your name as the thread, right? This, you will copy and paste those revised and edited paragraphs that are required into the text box, right? So if you click Start New Thread, this is where your 3 paragraphs should go. And then you can upload, you know, a document. It really just depends on what you've chosen to do. The only thing I really want to stress is that if you've done a video, do not, I suggest you don't upload it, right? I suggest you upload it to YouTube and then you can offer a link in the text box, just because D2L can be very finicky. Depending on the file size, it will either time out or it may not allow you to upload that. So it's just much easier to do it this way. If you have trouble uploading something like a PowerPoint or a larger file, then I would suggest you Google how to compress the file. And if you're still struggling, then that is definitely when you want to go to the content area and seek out assistance with OTS, or the Office of Technology Services, right? So click here, and that is where you can actually chat with them. They can look through your D2L, your account. Sorry, I just had one of those moments. So you'll click on IT Help for Students, and this is where you can get some assistance. I am not the person to contact in those situations because I'm just going to be really sympathetic, but tell you to come here because I don't know how to do those that level of technology assistance, right? So remember, you have all of this, to help you out here so that you don't feel like you're kind of wandering and lost. Okay, it's a heavy week, y'all, but I know you can do it. And I really hope that at least the multimedia project is turning, our class into something that's fun. Yes, writing is part of the requirement, but it's something that allows some creativity. And then with the food journal collection, again, you've done a majority of the work. So I hope you don't look at this week and start freaking out, because we do have time and you have done quite a bit of the work, right? Okay, so if you have any questions, please reach out. You can post in that Q&A discussion board, right? So you can click that here, or you can go up to collaboration and go straight to the discussion area. And of course, you can reach out to me and let me know if you have some questions or concerns. The sooner the better. This is one of those things where I will not be checking my email close to midnight on Wednesday, and I don't think you should be, necessarily working then, if you have other things to do. So get the work done early, ask those questions early, reach out to me, and we can work through that together. Okay. All right, y'all. It has been a fast-paced 3 weeks, but I am amazed every time I teach a course like this because y'all you just know what you're doing and you are doing it well. So I really appreciate all the time, the focus, the attention, especially during a time that can be pretty chaotic. Some of us are dealing with family, some of us are dealing with all other kinds of responsibilities. So I really appreciate your effort, and the time that you've put into our course. So keep it up one more week. Let me know what you need and good luck.